Phil, I think this morning Andrew Fagan said that Brent Riley popped down for a bit of a look on Monday at training. That must have been a massive fillip for you and the group to see him on that road to recovery.
Yeah, it was really good. He came out and watched the warm-up, so no, it was great. All the boys gave him a standing ovation, so it was, and he had a little bit of a speech for him, so it was great. No, it was a good sign in his recovery.
I'm sure it's obviously his health is absolutely all you're sort of worried about, but will you look to have a chat to him down the track to see whether possibly he's right to come back and play or train?
That's a long way off, you know. We'll just monitor it as it goes along, Tom. I told him that I'd give him a copy of the game. He's not allowed to watch too much television, but he's going to give me a bit of feedback on the game from Sunday, so that'll be great. He'll stay connected with the guys.
What do you say to the players in his speech?
Well, he said a lot of things. Probably don't want to go into too much depth, Andrew, but basically he said get on with it, you know. You've had a great pre-season, make the most of it.
Phil,
you said the interview that had an effect on you, the whole scenario, saga. How are you coping with that now and also the playing group? Is there any fear among any of them?
I can't speak for all the playing group, but the club's been really good with getting around them and making sure they've got really good support. Myself, yeah, I've had a couple of incidents happen just in my first couple of months really as a senior coach, which is, I suppose it's always part of the, you know, football. You come to work and you never know what's going to happen, and I've had a couple of those, so I'm dealing okay with it, Andrew.
Well, what's the other? Can you elaborate on the other incidents?
Obviously not. Some private issues, but what happens when you're the senior coach, you get told a lot of things that as an assistant coach you probably didn't get told about. So we all have personal issues, and we've had a few of those that we've had to deal with.
Do you think, maybe not answer this, but do you think Brett will play again?
That's not up for me to say right at the moment. That's up for, you know, he's got to have a number of hurdles he's got to get over and tick, and when they've been done, we'll look at all those sort of things. But right at this point, we just want to get him back to good health.
Phil, how is he dealing with it? How do you, from your dealings with him, is he coping pretty well?
It's really hard for me to answer Sodas. You know, I've seen him when he was in a really traumatic situation. Now he's a better situation. For some of the guys who hadn't seen him though, even on Monday, it was like, gee, you know, that doesn't look too good. So I really can't speak for him, but I'm really happy from where I've seen him where he was to where he is now.
First game obviously on Sunday. Are you a bit like a kid in the candy store, first chance to have a look at the boys in anger?
Yeah, no, I'm excited. You know, most things in footy excite me though, Tom. Been in the caper for a long time. I know it's a little bit different since I'm the senior coach, but I like the coach's box. I like being in a coach's box. You know, I've done it for 20 years. It's a place I feel pretty comfortable. Seeing now I'm going to be the senior coach, we'll see how comfortable that is.
So is this any different this game? I mean, what do you hope to get out of it?
Yeah, it's a good question, isn't it? You know, I want to establish a winning culture at the club, but it's NAB Cup, so we're going to try a few things. There'll probably be some things that frustrate me, because that's what NAB Cup and pre-seasons are all about. We're going to have a look at some younger players, we're going to try some things that the guys haven't done a lot, so there's going to be some mistakes. But all good things come out of a level of frustration and a level of mistakes, so we've got to embrace that.
I think it was your first press conference, you said that we would know when we saw Phil Walsh.
Yeah.
Do you expect to see it? Well,
I hope so.
Should we see it on the first
I hope so, and then the next week I hope we see a little bit more. Look, I'm a big believer that the difference between saying what you're going to do and actually doing it is directly related to how many of your players are interested in being Adelaide Football Club players or how many are committed in wanting to be Adelaide Football Club players, and that's what I'm about to find out. I couldn't question their commitment in the pre-season, but when you come up against opposition, it's another level of pressure, and I'll find out who's totally committed to get us where we need to go.
Phil, one of the fans sorry.
If you looked at the Crows fans, if they could describe to you what you'd like them to see as a Phil Walsh style of football, what would be the best response from them?
I can't answer for the fans because everyone likes a different aspect of our game. Some people like a lot of goals being kicked. Some people like really hard defence. Some like really aggressive tackles. Other people like nice ruck work. So I can't speak for them.
No, I mean, if you wanted them to describe what they're seeing exactly what is Phil Walsh football, so what would you like someone to see that knows it's at your brand of football? You know what I mean? What do you want to see?
I know what I want to. I know what I want to see, but I'm not going to tell you. Okay. All right. That's why I'm the senior coach. They're some of my secrets. All right.
Can I ask you,
clubs go about the pre-season matches differently. I reckon Sydney a lot of times they couldn't give us stuff about the outcome, but Port Adelaide talked about taking winning form into the regular season. Where do you sit?
Yeah, I'm a bit of a mix.
Yeah.
So Sydney have got their formula, Port Adelaide have got theirs.
Yeah.
I'm establishing mine, but because I'm a new coach, the players will probably think that they'd like to perform for me as well.
Yeah.
In saying that, I think we've got seven guys who'll pull on the Adelaide Crows jumper against AFL opposition for the first time. I'm pretty excited to see how they go.
Are you nervous about?
I don't get. I mean, I don't want to be blasé. I don't get that nervous. This is what I do. You know,
Okay.
this is who I am.
Yeah.
Phil, one of the other players that people haven't seen for a long time is Nathan Van Burlo. How exciting for him to be able to make a return after such a long time out?
Yeah, he's had a terrific pre-season. I'm really looking forward to seeing him back out there. Great leader of our club. Couldn't question how he's gone about it this pre-season, so I'm excited for him. I'm excited for a number of players. We're going to expose 26 players. I'm just as excited for the other 25 as I am for Nathan.
You said you start to get an understanding of who's truly committed
Yeah.
to playing the sort of footy you want. I mean, how many players, have you got an idea of a round one team? I mean, how many sort of positions are truly up for grabs that will be decided by how the players play in the NAB?
They're all up for grabs. No doubt about that. They're all up for grabs. What happens now, and without being dismissive of your sodas, what happens now is it's who can apply pressure, okay, and who actually receives pressure. That's what happens now, okay. If you went and watched every AFL club train, right, you'd be amazed because of the skill level, the fitness, the whole bit. But what happens now is we add a level of pressure, right? So what I want to do, I want to apply pressure, not receive it. But guess what? North Melbourne want to do the exact opposite. So what happens in the game, there's going to be times when that arm wrestle happens and one team's going to find the pressure too much and the other team will come over the top of them. That's what's about to happen. It's like, I've often used the terminology, we can all drive a car, but we can't drive Formula One. And that's what happens at AFL footy. It's Formula One football. It's played at a massive speed with great risks. Not everyone can do it.
Why did you leave some of your senior players out?
Basically, we're all being managed for round one. So the guys we've left out, I think Douglas, Dangerfield, McKay, Thompson and Jacobs, they all should be right for the Geelong game. In saying that, I don't want to expose some of my older players to the whole 3 games. That's just a philosophy of mine. Yeah.
With BB, what role have you got in mind for him this year?
For most of my players, they'll play a variety of roles, Andrew. So I would expect to see him play back, mid and forward. And you'll see that with a number of the Adelaide players this year, through the NAB Cup and throughout the year.
So what more flexibility through the entire squad rather than guys playing 1 or 2 spots for the year?
That's one of my views of where I think the game's at. So that's something that we'll explore.
What advantage can you get against the opposition if you've got that in your caper?
I think it's a great advantage over the opposition because it makes it very difficult for them if they want to run with Smith or they want to run with Dangerfield or they want to run with Betts. If they're running through different parts of the ground, it means they may require a different player to play on them.
BB and Kerridge are still the obvious run with players, aren't they?
I think I've gone on record somewhere. I'm not a tag coach.
No.
I like to have someone, if someone jumps up though, we need a player who's required. Not necessarily that type of player though in my philosophy on football. So read whatever you like into that.
Jay Pott, his role too, I was going to ask about him, but is it again...
No, he's a variety position. So again, he'll play on Sunday and over the NAB Cup you'll see him play in a number of positions as well, Andrew.
Did Jake leave a real buzz about getting in from Hamish Ogilvy up in Gold Coast last year? Where's he sit with things at the moment?
Yeah, so it's been well documented that Jake's coming off an ACL. We've had a few things that we've explained to Jake as he's a very competitive kid and he wants to play and all those things, but he's just going to have to be a little bit patient, so we can tick all the boxes. We see him as a really important piece of where we're going, so we're not going to rush him.
Phil, throughout the year, what's your philosophy on Adelaide's SANFL side? Finding that balance between preparing players for the AFL and also winning games in the SANFL?
No, I want a winning culture, but by the same token, it's a great chance for them to play the same game plan that will be played at the AFL and also use them in a variety of positions. But again, I want to win. I want to be about winning.
So it's finding that right balance,
Yeah,
is it?
yeah, it is. It is.
You've a lot of young players in this squad.
Nice mixture, I would say, personally.
Yeah. But you know, O'Brien obviously, Ramsey, Kelly, of course, Siggins, young defender. How are they all tracking? You've been really pleased with their pre-season?
Yeah, I probably, again, and I know people dismiss me with this, I don't like singling out people. It's just, if I want to preach team, I've got to talk team. You want to talk singularly, I want to talk plural. So when you ask me about players, even after games, I won't be highlighting one or two players. It'll be the mindset of the collective that'll get us where we need to go, both offensively and defensively. So yeah, they've all had their moments, okay? So have the other 40-odd players on the list.
I guess for the fans, there's a guy like Siggins who's been on the list for a couple of years, was skinny, put some muscle on. Is he one, whether you can talk about him, I'm not sure,
Yeah,
is he one of those guys that you think might have a future here?
I know I need to talk to the fans, but and one thing that disappoints me a little bit about this game, it's not on television. So our fans don't get to see these guys. And the nature of the industry is we have closed sessions, so they don't get to even watch them train. So some of that little bit of romance, I remember as a young lad in country Victoria going down to watch VFL footy, and we'd get there early so we'd watch the reserves, and then you had a view about players who you might think have become stars and you follow them through. Unfortunately, that's lost a little bit. They may have to wait till the SANFL games, Andrew, just to see some of those guys.
You mentioned you've sat in the box, you like sitting in the box, you watch hundreds and hundreds of games there. Now you're sitting there as the number one man, I suppose, in terms of the hierarchy. Are you excited about that? Does that change your view of how you're going to be sitting in there?
Yeah, there's some advantages and some disadvantages. Yeah, I haven't been the senior guy, but guess what? I've been an assistant for 20 years, so I know how they feel. So I'm hoping that I can bring some of that and make them perform better in the box. It's a real, there's a little bit of romance about AFL coach's box. I'm not sure how many of you guys here have actually sat in one, but I often ask myself, because I've sat in a lot, what is a good AFL coach's box? What does it look like? And it's an interesting question, and something that whenever I go and visit other coaches in other sports, I ask them, how do you operate game day? One of the things I have taken away is that Mourinho at Chelsea, at half-time, he'll only mention three things. He'll only give them three things to focus on, and I reckon there's something in that. So if you do get the chance one day, not that I'm going to offer it, if you can get an AFL coach's box, you could actually do some psychological profiles on people from that experience.
So is it trying to keep it simple? Is that what you're trying to do?
It's a complex game, Andrew, but yeah, that's the art in it. You know, I think Einstein might have said it. The art of it is being able to make the complex simple, and that's basically what I try and do. There's a lot of layers, okay, that we try and add on things, but we try to make it as simple as possible.
Because you get over too much.
I've done that. I've done that, Andrew. I've been called too complex at times.
Yeah, and the players can only take so much in. Is that what you've?
So that's one of the changes that's happened in my time in footy. So once in pre-season, all we did was run them. Okay, then come to the games, then we'd add all the other things that we wanted to do. Now we actually do all that in the pre-season, so then when the games actually start, they can coach themselves. If you watched us train now, you wouldn't hear the coaches screaming. You might find that strange, but you wouldn't actually hear me screaming anymore. It's now being run by the players.
Have you got a right-hand man yet? Have you handpicked a right-hand man in the box? Like a lot of coaches do have a go-to guy.
Scott Camperell is the senior assistant. He's in charge of the midfield. I think whoever is in charge of the midfield and the stoppages, they're more or less the next most important person in the box.
If you're not insinuating there's an issue here at all, but given the current sort of climate up in the Gold Coast with illicit drugs, recreational drugs or whatever, what's your stance on that, whether it's outside of competition or whatever?
I'm a zero tolerance guy, as you might have guessed, so I'll probably best not to get into it.